Mm-mm-mm-mm. Hello, Thirstaholics. Welcome to the Thirsty Professional, where today we are welcoming David Medina, former corporate captive, now entrepreneur. My people, go grab a cuppa. We'll be back in a minute. Oops, I got to hit the right button.
Welcome to the space where truth is poured. No corporate scripts, just tales explored. From passion quest to purpose found, the thirsty professional breaks new ground. So fill your cup, let's have a chat about careers, life, and all of that.
My God, podcasting, sometimes I feel like I'm one of those old time switchboard operators because I'm like moving stuff around and hitting buttons. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Thirsty Professional. This is a place where we grab a bevy, we ditch the BS, and we get real about careers, purpose, and passion. I'm your host, Beth Ann Campbell. I'm a former corporate queen, now full-time author and podcaster, author of the award-winning Where the Hell is My Bacon, and also the recently released first novel, RIP Files, Case of the Demon Drums. If you've read any of these, I would love a review on Amazon if they'll let you, or Goodreads. Thank you so much. Little shameless plug there. If you're watching live, let us know you're here in the comments. Where are you from? And most importantly, what are you drinking? We're going to talk about drinks today. If you're watching the replay, please give us a hashtag replay. And of course, let us know if you have any questions or feedback so we can address during the live stream or afterwards if you're watching the replay. All right, let me bring on my guest while I introduce him. My very special guest with his awesome hat, David Medina, is my special guest today on The Thirsty Professional. David is the co-founder, maybe we'll find a better word for that, co-founder of the Collective Mastermind, which is an amazing group. I'm a member of that. He is a partner in the Talk To Heidi empire with his wife, Heidi, who's been on this show a couple of times. He is also a video editor, a freelance graphic designer, and he is also one of my people who kicked corporate to the curb. He's also an expat living in the lovely country of Portugal and a great example of starting over on many levels. Please welcome David Medina. David, welcome to The Thirsty Professional.
Oh, thank you, Beth. Thank you for the intro. I loved it.
Every time I say your name, I feel like I want to sing it to the song, that Beatles song, Lady Madonna, like David Medina, coffee at your feet, or some, make
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot.
it has
Okay.
the same amount of syllables as Lady Madonna. So speaking of coffee,
Yes.
what are you drinking today?
Well, today I've got my Portuguese blend, just that we
Nice.
have in Portugal that I do every day. So yes.
Do you actually, does Portugal grow coffee?
You know what? I don't know. I don't think they do because
Yeah.
this is actually, believe it or not, we were talking before the show about the commercial brands and that kind of stuff. This is an actual commercial brand, but the coffee here is different. Same in Italy. I'll drink commercial brands all the time in Italy because I love them. They're
Just like the tomatoes, like we were talking earlier about tomatoes and how the US tomatoes mostly suck. So
right. But so it's just the corporate brand, but it's so good and rich, and there's flavor to it, which I know. We were talking about the coffee that you do, and you put a little bit of
yeah, David asked me when we were before we went live. He said, "Are you drinking hot chocolate?" I said, I mean, partly yes, because I call myself a coffee snob, but I actually brought my latest coffee here that I get from it's called Hap. It's a place in Waynesboro. Plug for Hap Coffee, amazing. And they source around the world and small organic farmers and that kind of thing. And I always get some light blend, and then I put hot cocoa or whatever chocolate I have around, or and cream. And so, yeah, I can't hardly really even now. We want to talk about coffee snobs. You
oh.
are well, I know this because I've done coffee snob posts before, and then you come in and you're like, oh yeah, hold my coffee, hold my beer. Let me tell you.
But you know what? I like coffee so much that I like different kind of coffees, like Vietnamese coffee, which is done with a really dark roast. It's actually done with Café de Monde, from New Orleans. Is what
Oh,
it's
well,
done with. Yeah. But it's just a dark roast is all it is, and it's condensed milk. But I use a different roast for that. And then I have my everyday coffee, which is a medium roast. And then my cappuccinos, I use an Italian. I mean, so it's about that. It's about understanding which coffees go with what kind of drink I'm drinking.
yeah. So that's why you're at a next level, David, because I just like I want to be able to open the bag and have it pretty freshly roasted and smell different than like the store-bought stuff, which
Oh, yeah.
if you've never smelled like fresh roasted beans of a high quality coffee, and you've only ever smelled your Starbucks or your, Pete's or whatever that you get in the grocery store here or whatever you get in Europe, it's different. It's
Yep. Oh,
different.
yeah. Oh, yeah. You can tell right off. You can tell immediately the difference in how it smells.
Yeah. So I found this place local. I used to order from a place in near Roanoke, Virginia, where I used to live, and they do ship, and I still order from them now. But I found this place, Hap Coffee. You're a bit of a coffee snob when you grab your bag of beans and you walk up to the counter and you set it down and you do your order, and they go, "Would you like us to grind those for you?" And you're like, "Oh, no, God, no."
Whoa.
What do you no? Like just so haughty.
Okay.
No.
Well, so you're a snob in a different way because I'm like, let's grind it. I'm
No.
lazy. I have the grinder, but I'm lazy
No.
about doing it.
No, I have the little grinder and I grind. I used to have a burr grinder, which is
Oh, you're kidding me.
yeah, you can adjust and stuff. But now I just have because I'm lazy. But I used to have a little Amazon grinder. But I grind my beans. Now I don't grind them fresh every time I have coffee, but I do grind like an amount, and then I put it in a dark covered container in a cool spot, not the fridge. And but yeah, so it's sort of mostly freshly ground. But yeah, I'm a horrible. I feel myself. I feel my face going, no, I don't want no. And then I'm like, oh no, thank you.
Yeah.
Like,
I hear you.
yeah. Anyway, well, your lovely wife is checking in here. Hello, Heidi. How are you?
Well, she said she was going to come. I think she's checking up on me just to make sure
We can't talk about her now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What's that?
We can't talk about her. Well, we will anyway. All right. I'm getting myself ready because we're going to jump right in. Okay. I always start, David, with let's let our audience know, what do you do right now, and what's the passion in what you do right now?
Well, right now, it's about having conversations online and converting those conversations into collaborations and referrals and clients on LinkedIn or on Facebook or Instagram or just any of them. It works the same way. And what's really cool about it is seeing it work. I'm behind the scenes, so I'm learning how to do a lot of it. But when I watch Heidi do it, it's amazing. It's like magic. All of a sudden, she can take this conversation online and says, "Oh, this is what they're thinking, and this is what you do." And that to me is like, I'm like, what do you? Well, huh? You kind of just sitting there like
magic.
Wow, how
She
is
has
that
a gift.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch her do this.
But you can't do the gift. You can't utilize the gift solely by just having the gift, because there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So you do a lot behind the scenes. What are some of the things that you do to support, the front person?
A lot of it is a lot of the graphics, the video, promoting, marketing. It's just everything that needs to be done when you work for yourself. There's all these hats that you have to wear.
Yeah. I wish I had a David that do that for me. What are your go-to tools? I've never asked you this before, I don't think. Maybe you've probably talked about it in some of our meetings and stuff, but what are you using for like video editing, or are you using like Canva? What are you?
Yeah, actually, I'm probably one of the graphic designers that actually likes Canva.
I love Canva. I'm not a graphic.
And they've made it simple. They've got a lot of apps out there that are easy to use. I love it, but a lot of graphic designers are against it because it's not, it's not Illustrator, or the, Adobe's and that kind of stuff. If I have to get that fine, I use free, Inkscape, which is a free program, and so I just use that for my graphics, kind of thing.
Well, I would call that a graphic illustrator and distinguish that between a graphic designer, because I think for if you are an illustrator or an artist, yeah, great. But you can design bazillions of amazing things
Oh yeah.
and not be actually hand drawing every hair on a horse or something, right? I mean, you can, but
you could do it. I'm sure they're doing that actually on Canva. So
yeah. Are you using Canva for video editing too, or?
I've tried it and I'm not too happy with it. It's kind of real, but yeah, it's real clunky. It's hard to use, and I don't get the options when I use my editor, which I use the Filmora Wondershare Filmora.
Oh, okay.
And it's I bought it like, oh gosh, I think about 10 years ago, and they had a great deal, a lifetime deal, and I get all the upgrades to it. I mean everything, so I don't ever have to pay for it again.
Remember those days?
Yeah. What's that?
Remember those days when you'd be like, I have a couple of things where I think InShot on my phone, I paid, just give me the app. I think I paid like 60 or $70 for it, maybe 5 years ago. And I don't use it a lot, but I don't ever have to, I get all the upgrades and I don't have to pay every month, and I don't have to like, oh crap, here comes my next $70 payment and it's Christmas and I don't have any money in the bank. But yeah, I love those too. I've been using Camtasia for my video editing for a long time. And that was kind of from corporate, and I just got used to it. It's really friendly user interface, but it is limited, and wouldn't do captions very well. And then they added an add-on where you can do some of that stuff, but you have to pay more money, and I would have to upgrade. And plus it crashed a lot. So I loved it, but then I was looking for something. I tried Descript. Didn't really like the user interface. It's just, again, not what I need to do with video editing and clipping and dragging and, extracting sound and all that stuff. So, but I tried CapCut, and I'm pretty happy with CapCut. So
we were talking about that. I remember that in our mastermind that you were using that. I've seen it everywhere. It seems really robust, to be honest, and easy to use. So I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, and it's not expensive. So I paid for like a 3-month, and then I always set a date. Like, okay, if I'm happy with it, then I won't cancel it. But so far, the interface is very consistent with what I was using in Camtasia. So I just had to kind of learn a few little things. But then it also has really good captions. And then what I loved with Descript was Descript had different types of caption formatting and backgrounds and coloring and so it does that too. Anyway, we could talk probably the whole
we can nerd out on this really easy.
What other technical applications are you? Okay, so I have one of the things that I want to talk about, because you are one of my former corporate men. I don't want to say ex or former. I say ex. You say former. Tell me a little bit about what your corporate experience was like, and then how did you? I kind of know the story, but for our audience, how did you get from, what you were doing, well ingrained in a traditional professional job, into, oh, I'm going to be a partner with my wife and be an entrepreneur in another country?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that it comes. Well, where to start?
What did you do in corporate? Tell us a little bit about your corporate life.
So I started in drafting is when I started into the corporate, and then it just snowballed into project management at the end.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well,
me too.
We could have a whole show on just that whole thing too.
Oh.
But it was more about that corporate ladder that you thought you wanted, kind of thing. So,
yeah.
So there was that kind of thing. So it was in oil. First, it started out in construction, and then it finally got into oil and gas, and that's where I stayed. And so I think there was a lot of maybe the industry is where I got tired of, because it was always going up and down every 4 years. 4 to 8 years, you're looking for a new job or a new place.
Yeah.
It was just kind of, just it became monotonous and stupid at that point. And Heidi and I went to Europe in 2014, loved it, went on a job, got laid off, and I asked Heidi, hey, let's go travel for a year, full-time travel. And she, at first didn't react.
Yeah.
She's like, what do you mean? You got to get a job. What are you talking about? That kind of a situation. And I'm like, I've done the numbers. We can do it. It's going to be cheaper than to stay here in Denver, in Colorado. And we left. We left a year after that, or within that year, 2015. We left in October, and it ended up being 2 years instead of just. Yeah.
So when you got your, I always like to ask this because everybody has a story. Some are pretty weird and crazy. But when you got laid off, did you know it was coming, and was it presented in a respectful way? I mean, what was the nature of how that went down?
So I was lucky enough to know ahead of time, and it was like a month to the day when I got back. So I was sequestered on a job on site for 4 months, and so we got back into the office, and it was like 1 month to the day of getting back into the office, I was laid off. But I knew it was coming. And yeah, it was, they just called you into the room and said, we just need your badge and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, wow.
Kind of
When you say you were sequestered, were you like out on an oil rig or something?
Yeah, we were actually on not an oil rig. But,
no.
no, not an oil rig, but it was actually the first cryo plant in Colorado. And so it was it was actually liquid natural gas.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I was there during the winter from December until March or until April. We were out there in the winter. What happened was we had to every single pipe had to be reassessed and labeled because the pipe they got was inadequate, and they installed it.
Nice.
Found out later. So they had to go back and redo the whole plant. And so we were there helping them.
Yeah.
Record all.
Sorry, folks. The pressure on this one's not going to hold what we're running through here, and could be a little dangerous there. Yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah.
What do you miss about, or do you miss anything about corporate life?
Oh, I think it's the people. I think it was more. It was just the people, and the work I did was. I enjoyed the work I did. Designing plants and refineries, and all that stuff. I loved doing that. The structural part was really what I liked to do. But so I did enjoy the work and the people. I just didn't like this turnover of every 4 to 8 years you're looking for a new job. And it's funny because all these jobs just go to like a handful of different companies. It's like like 5 different companies all these jobs go to. So you're either with this company for a while, then you go over to your competitor. Kind of thing. It's just
do you ever have it? I always like asking this. I ask this when people come over to the house, like to repair something. I'm like, or fix something or landscaping. I'm like, what's the weirdest, craziest? And was there anything that you, like an event or something that you knew about or witnessed or experienced in your corporate days that make you go, oh yeah, there was this one time that, the thing exploded and whatever.
There was a few scares. I was on a refinery, but what was really funny is that sometimes how they fix things is really not how they fix things. So there was this moment. It was actually this this actual it was an actual motor, and they basically just plugged it into just a regular kind of plug, an extension cord, so that they could get power to it.
Oh,
And it was like 240 volt, and that was a big mistake. So they jerry rigged this whole thing all the way so that it would work in a regular kind of plug. And it was just like when you got there, you're just like, oh, well, that's not going to hurt anything. So they
yeah.
had to come back in and redo the whole thing. And I mean, it's just weird stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just weird. There was a moment though on the site they called it duct gate, duct tape gate, and what happened is they actually duct taped one of the workers to one of the columns on the site I was working at, and they filmed it and put it up on YouTube.
Was it like a joke or hazing or
Yeah,
like
it
just
was like a hazing joke kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
they filmed it and put it on YouTube, and of course everybody, I mean the uppers, and they all saw it. They closed the pipe. They closed everything down. Nobody was allowed back except us. My group, we were okay because we were there to help, but everybody else was kicked off the site, and they had to start over, and you had to reapply for your job.
Wow. Dang.
Yeah, it was.
Somebody wasn't messing around. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I mean, there's just this weirdness of just you go into these places and they're just trying to get the jobs done. It's like, hey, can we get this past inspection kind of thing? And you see that a lot when you go out on these sites. But when they find out, they make sure that it's
well, yeah,
done.
because it's big. I mean, I working for a utility company for 17 years. I know. I mean, it's big when something bad goes wrong.
Yeah.
When something goes wrong, something bad happens.
Right.
Now it's big liability. It's big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's big
Yeah,
time.
and that's what they're worried about now is the big liability. So yeah, but they put it on YouTube. I mean, how stupid is that? I mean, that was just
Well, David, I have I tell my husband this all the time. Whenever we watch, I assume that this was mostly men, and whenever we're watching like America's Funniest Videos, or whenever there's somebody doing stupid stuff, and I go, look, testosterone makes you lose fear, but it also makes you lose sensibility sometimes. So I think that's a little combination of maybe that going in there.
sometimes I wonder.
You need like every company needs like a token grandma to come out and go, don't you do like an Italian grandma, don't you do that. You're gonna get in trouble. You want the company to get sued?
I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah.
Um, Heidi says she's totally checking up on you, David, so you can't talk about her here. And
Well,
she's also saying that this is of Canva, I believe. It's clunky, but it does put out 4K videos if you just need minor edits. Yes, good point, because I use Zoom to record my videos. It does not have a great quality.
yes.
So David, so now you're well ingrained into your entrepreneurship. What do you think, as a corporate person who had a career, for a lot of years, now you're an entrepreneur. What do you think was the hardest thing to adjust to?
Actually doing everything yourself. And I mean, I'm lucky to have Heidi because she's a lifelong entrepreneur, and I was lucky
Yeah.
to be able to lean on her.
Yeah.
But most people don't have that, and that's
Yeah.
something that. But it makes you think for yourself a lot more. I think it's in reverse. I think we should be entrepreneurs before we go into corporate.
There you go.
Because then you would
What?
actually.
I don't have to do all these tasks. Somebody else does that.
Right, exactly. You'd be like, oh, that's easy. I can do this.
I
But,
don't have to
but it's
code
more
my
about
own- Yeah.
but it's more about the mindset of this is what I do, but you're taking ownership of what
Yeah.
you do in corporate. And that was something I feel if you did the reverse of, you would actually take ownership more. So at least for me, it was more about I'm working for the company. I didn't take ownership. I mean, I took ownership of my work, but I didn't take ownership of, hey, you know what? If this goes wrong, then I lose money.
Yeah.
That whole thing of the money and these decisions impact instead of they're just unlimited money. And it seemed like there was unlimited
Yeah.
money then,
That's a
so
hard one,
yeah,
especially when you're first starting out, and this has been the case for me. So I was dabbling while I was in corporate and making good corporate money, but once I was not working and making good corporate money, then it was like now all I ever heard and still do hear was regardless whether it was in on LinkedIn with traditional entrepreneur jobs or even authors and podcasters, it's all like, oh yeah, you need to hire this and you need to hire that, and of course you're going to have to hire an editor and a formatter, and oh, when you're podcasting you need to get this kind of microphone, and I'm like, I can't fucking afford to
yeah,
spend money. I would love to, and I did. Your lovely wife convinced me to hire a VA when I was
right,
in the heyday, and I did, and she was amazing.
yeah,
But now, money's tighter, and so you do have to do a lot yourself until that point that you get to where sometimes we're lucky enough or we work hard enough.
yeah,
So, and then we can. But I think that's also a mindset for me from corporate is work harder, take on more, do more, spend more hours at the computer or wherever, and you'll get
yeah,
paid more money, and eventually maybe you'll get a promotion. And that doesn't work that way in entrepreneurship, nor does it work effectively in corporate many times because then you get burned out. But
yeah.
yeah, it's
That's
hard.
But that's that mindset of an entrepreneur is that you would know when you're in corporate that there is a ceiling and how far you can go in this position. And a lot of times they don't want you to move because they like you where you are.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so, yeah, that's
yes.
that's a whole nother story.
The holding back of people is a real thing when people want to
Yeah,
move on and they go,
yeah,
well, we can't. And then they just leave the company if they can't find what they
yeah,
need. I worked for a big, big utility company, 8,000 workers employees at one point. And I had so many of my peers were like, especially the ones who got made managers and didn't want to, but I would like to do this. I want to go over here. I want to try this. And I was like, no, I'm sorry, we can't. You're, indispensable. And a lot of them would just leave. If you
and
can't give me
that
what I
was
need here.
We'd rather
Yeah.
get rid of these people that way. And we were the same way. We wanted to, there was another guy I was working with, and we would talk because we wanted to move and work, abroad because where we worked it was global. And we would talk, and it was like, yeah, I'm willing to work. There's a spot open here. Da, 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 da. We're part of this and everything. And he had the same problems of trying to move out and work for the same company, but
Yeah.
they just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And so, but then I started playing the game a little bit, and you have to get a sponsor or somebody that knows you in that office, So you started playing this little game of having other people in other offices, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
If you can get somebody high up on the food chain who says, yeah, we want to pull, so and so over here,
yeah.
then sometimes that will happen. But so in your entrepreneur world right now, if you could change one thing, what would you change right now?
What would I change in my
I just
entrepreneurial?
remember your wife might be listening, so
Yeah, right. Oh, I can't say change out my wife. Oh, okay, never mind.
no,
Okay, that
no,
will work.
I didn't mean that exactly, but you can't.
I'm in the doghouse on that one. But no, you know what? I think for me was having a real understanding of what that really meant. Heidi's been doing this
I
forever, and
know, I
I
know.
mean, it's natural. It's like going to the bathroom for her. But
Right?
really, I
Yeah,
mean, really,
since she was like 8 years old, she's been entrepreneuring, yeah, something like that.
yeah. So to take somebody like me that's worked for people all his life until now, that disconnect for me was just really
Yeah,
massive. So if before you want to go into entrepreneurship, I think get a mentor before you do that. That way you can have this mindset. And it's going to take a couple of years. It's not going to
yeah,
happen overnight either. And so that's what I would change that. Hey, get your mindset 2 years before you actually do something like this. That's
I
big.
think that's amazing advice. I mean, I kind of did that because I was starting to get, after I moved from the utility company and went into consulting, I was very disillusioned with some of the stuff that was going on. And I was like, F you. You know what? You want to cut costs, and you think, I'm hearing through the grapevine you want to get rid of me? I'm just going
Yeah.
to work on my book all day and not even do any work. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's I think that's a good idea. I felt like I was more prepared for it because I had been doing what I wanted to do on the side for 3 or 4 years before I got, and I wanted to do it. I had the drive to go, yeah, I really don't want to work in corporate anymore, but I was just afraid because the money is so good.
Oh, yeah.
So when it did happen, but I will tell you, when I got out, I did have a little bit of a panic because, I'm still in that 23 years of making really good money, and, and that's, it's a thing. And then, 3 months of fighting with the unemployment system here, and, realizing the kind of stress that I really was under, and then and then the sickness of when I would think about going back.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, I'm not going back. And that was the moment where it was like, okay, it's going to be tough, because it's tough. That's, I think, another thing that people don't think. They think it's going to be easy. It's not. But man, don't you love the flexibility of being an entrepreneur?
Well, yes, and it made me realize. So we had a big storm here in Portugal. I mean, you've heard. I mean, we've got roads gone. We've got cities devastated, that kind of thing. But we had some of our friends. They were out of power for over a week. But what really made me feel like it was special to make your own schedule was they needed all of a sudden to come over to our place so that they can power up their phones and their laptops and have and be away, have power.
Yeah.
So they came over to our place, and we had to drop everything just to take care of that. It
Yeah.
made me feel special that we were able to do something like that.
Yeah.
And it's not about money. It was never about money. It's about that opportunity and that
Yes.
space to help somebody at a moment's notice and drop everything, and that your business is not going to suffer for it.
Yes. You're not
Yeah.
sitting there thinking, oh my God, I got to be at work. Otherwise, I'm going to get yelled at, or maybe even fired, or whatever. And there are people out there that's their
Yeah.
life, right? Like,
That's a
if I don't,
reality. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, they'll get a text, yeah, I know we had a storm, but, power's on. Why aren't you here? I'm like, okay. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
so
let
I
me,
think that's the flexibility of that is just beautiful to me, and it just really made me grateful to be able to do that for them and for us.
that's the thing that keeps me, when I think about, if I had to go into an office every day, all day, I think I would start dying a slow death again, or maybe a
Well,
fast death.
let me ask you something. Wouldn't you negotiate like only doing half days?
Yeah, I mean, well, I was successful actually I mean, I worked fully remote in my consulting job, so and even part of the utility. So, and even before it was a thing, I negotiated with this utility company. I said, I'm moving to Virginia. If you want me to stay, then
That's
you're gonna have to negotiate something. But it's a different world now, because post COVID, even though
um,
I would have to find a remote job, and then just thinking about, like, doing, like, when I joked about project management. I
yeah.
mean, the people who do project management and who get certified, and they're just, they're really into it. I have such admiration, but I always just wanted to be, and was most effective being like that sergeant of arms who would show up and go, the director of getting shit done. Like, the project manager had a shitload to do, and the people that were doing and building and whatever had a shitload to do, but nobody was going to the director and saying, Bob, we need you to have a decision on this. They would just be sitting around going, I don't know, we can't do anything because we don't know what, to do about this. So that's what I was really good at and did. But
Okay.
that's not, and then it became, in tech, it became, you can be a project manager, but we also want you to be an expert. And that's what I did. I kind of did in the utility space, but then I started managing different people where I didn't have an expertise. And they wanted a project manager who was also technically really good at being a doer, because, we like to give people 5 jobs in some
Right.
places. Anyway, let me check in with the comments here. Heidi says, "Oh my God, the analogy! I didn't give him a clear picture ahead of doing this. Ahead of doing this, what it meant. He also watched me for 10 years building two businesses before we moved. Got to call David out a bit on this since he didn't take it seriously." Ooh,
Well, let's talk about that. Yeah, for sure. It was one of those things of just trying to find. That's kind of, and that's another part of this journey is trying to find your way.
yeah,
What? Heidi's good at this. I'm good at this. So I started doing the graphics, and so I started going that route, and then I just started doing that. Then I fully started getting into, hey, start drinking the Kool-Aid, hey, start doing this way, this
yeah.
way, this way, so I'm still learning to drink the Kool-Aid right now because
Well, how long
there's,
were you in corporate?
oh man, wow, it was 95 to 15, so
It's like
what,
25 years.
yeah, 25 years, yeah, yeah.
Or wait, 95, 205, so at least 20, right? That's a lot of brainwashing to get over
Yeah.
with, especially like you said, when you haven't been kind of weaned into it. I mean, you did have a mentor, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's still a challenge.
yeah,
Um, Stella's here late, but finally here. Hi, Stella. Heidi says, "Stella, you made it." Yes, always happy to have Stella and anybody here. I love. This is what I love about lives. We get audience participation. All right, David, I'm going to kind of pivot here because you talk a little bit about your experience. So you got laid off, or let go, or however you term it, and then you said, "Hey, let's go travel." Where did you go, and what made you decide ultimately to move to Portugal?
Well, a couple of things. So our first trip was in 2015, and Portugal was our second trip out. First, we were in Italy, and then we went to Lisbon, Portugal, and we just fell in love with it here. It was just very modern, just the food, the people. There's coastline, and it's European, and it was just this exciting trip. Our first place was 3 stories, so we had the bedroom on the first floor, and then the second floor was the kitchen, and then the third floor was the bathroom. So, because everything is so close together here,
Yeah.
and so our first apartment that we stayed in was we had to make sure we had to go to the bathroom before we went to bed because it was
I
all the
would
way.
just sleep there. I would probably just sleep in the
Yeah.
little space in front of the bathroom because I at least twice in the night I would be like, "Oh my God, no."
But it was that romantic thing of this
Yeah.
funky little place, and then we were right in this cool little neighborhood. Just walk right out, and there's cafes everywhere and plazas and all this other stuff. So we
Nice.
wanted that European flavor,
Yeah.
and Portugal has all that, and that's why we moved here. It was what, a year and a half when we went back. We finally moved to Portugal, and it was just, I don't know. We still are in awe that we live here. Let's be honest.
I know you're from Colorado, which is not the cheapest place in the United States to live, but
Yeah.
is it really less expensive? That much less expensive to live in Portugal?
Well, it's about 60% difference.
That's
Yeah,
huge.
yeah. It might be a little bit less, maybe 50 now, but when we moved, it was 60%.
I'm hearing that it's changing a little bit because I mean, every list that I look up for
Yeah,
where are great places for me to retire, in the whole world, US or outside, factoring in crime, factoring in
right.
environment, climate, all that, medicine. Portugal's always like in the top five.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah, I know. And our city here that has just gotten the number one small city to live in too in
Oh,
the whole
nice.
world. So wonderful.
So you've seen a little bit of quite a bit of Portugal now. What if I'm coming to Portugal, other than you and your lovely wife? What are a couple of must sees that you would be like, you
Oh,
got to go see this?
yeah, Porto. Porto is probably our favorite town, which is probably where we're going to end up living, is up in close to Porto, if not in right across the river of Porto. Porto's just got more charm than Lisbon. It's this.
It's
It's just
smaller too, right? Lisbon's the capital, so it's I would
yeah,
imagine
yeah.
it's bigger. Yeah.
And then Porto is the second largest.
Okay.
But it's just got more character to it. The whole vibe of Porto is just this beautiful character of just romantic, whimsical buildings, but they're all,
Nice.
very close together. Got this beautiful steel bridge that just
Yeah.
encompasses the river there. It's just this
I know you love
beautiful.
your architecture.
Yeah, yeah, and of course I love architecture too. So, but yeah, and then you've got all these neat little restaurants everywhere and little bakeries everywhere. I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those places. But then there's all these modern. You can get Thai food there, and they got really good ice cream, and so they have a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
In Porto, Lisbon does too, but Porto just has charm.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Stella says she's loved me some Mediterranean architecture, lots of exercise. And Heidi does say it's more expensive now than when we first moved in. So yeah, that's what I'm hearing too, that a lot of people are taking advantage. And so it's probably going to be a little bit, but hopefully not too crazy.
Yeah.
What do you do like when you, so I know, you've talked about, the charm and, these like, shops and, I'm sure, get a lot of fresh vegetables and fruits and kinds of things. But, if you need to like go and get like a pillow, I mean, do you have like types of stores like a Target or a Walmart where like if I just need to go and get some bulk shit, or is it different in
It's different in the fact that a lot of the grocery stores or the big grocery stores will have a lot of that stuff. So like we have a Continent, but they'll have the grocery part, and then they'll have all the home stuff and bedding and all of that kind of stuff. And a lot of those companies do that. We don't have like a Costco here or anything like that. We do have a sporting goods store here, and that they just do sporting goods stuff. But other than that, it's kind of like that. Or you go to the small little shop. We have like maybe I think about 4 to 5 little shops that just bedding, and they have pillows and
Yeah.
little blankets and all that kind of stuff. So you have a lot of that too. You have a little bit of shops here. I mean, we still have butchers, in a
Yeah.
shop.
Yeah.
I don't know how many. There seems like there's like 5 right in this, right here on this block. There seems like there's 5 butchers right here,
Oh
and
my
they're
God,
all
that would be great.
yeah,
We have
yeah,
butchers here, but they're either inside like a Walmart or a big grocery store, or you got to drive like 20 miles out into the middle of nowhere in the Appalachian, and then there's like some really
yeah.
amazing butcher, but you're like, is there going to be banjo music playing here that I'm gonna?
Well, let me ask you also,
Yeah,
because those butchers are probably pretty expensive too. They're probably
yeah.
specialty. Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
those ones are, and a lot of people go to those ones like if they're hunting deer, like to
yeah,
process
yeah,
venison and stuff like that. So, but yeah, just like going to a butcher. I mean, yeah, you can. Pretty much every grocery store will have
right,
some level. I mean, some of it's just mostly like processed deli meat, but like our bigger stores will have. You can get
yeah,
steaks and hamburger and stuff. And then if you go to like a bigger city like a Charlotte, Virginia, Richmond, you'll have like a Whole Foods, and they'll have a even better
yes,
quality of stuff. But yeah, you gotta it's not just like usually on your corner. Although I will say we do have I say this now and I'm like, well, my little town, we have a seafood. They basically sell seafood and ham. Weird combo, but you can go
okay.
down there here and get fresh. Heidi says yes, we have stores like Super Walmarts and Targets, all the regular stores like department stores, bedding stores, good stores. We have some giant malls, one with over 300 stores. Okay, so there you go.
Yeah.
It's just the stuff that nobody's presenting on. They're just showing you all the lovely charm, which is great. But it's nice to know that the modern conveniences are there too.
Oh yeah, you've got all that. Yeah.
So final thing I want to talk with you about, David, is cookies. So a
Okay.
lot of people out there might not know. So first of all, your wife is I'm gonna call her a chef. I don't know what
Yeah.
exactly certification, but she wrote a cookbook, has a website. But you also You have some skills, and you've been doing some skills with cookies. Tell me a little bit about that. Like what spawned that?
I saw this girl on Instagram, and she was making cookies, and I'm like, oh, I can do that. That's what it really was. It was like, oh, I could do that. And
Plus
so,
cookies. I mean,
well, yeah,
fighting for
well,
cookies.
going into this journey is completely different because, and then being in Europe, so Europe ingredients are completely different than the US ingredients. So when I went back 2 years ago, I was making cookies back there, and everything was off because there's more fat in our butter in Europe than
Yeah,
in the US. The eggs are different, so
yeah.
so you have to have completely two different recipes. But what I've learned is just the nuances of what all these recipes do for the different cookies. I mean, I have my base now, and I have a perfect cookie now.
Nice.
But when I go to the U.S., yes, when I visit here in April, I'm going to send you some cookies.
Oh,
Look,
thank you.
so look for
What's
that.
Tell us what your signature is. I know a couple that you've been making, but what would you consider your signature cookie?
Well, I think it's going to be the chai dark chocolate
I
chunk.
was gonna say, I know you were doing like a chai, or it was
Yeah,
either chai or matcha. I was thinking, have you done a matcha? What is matcha? Anyways, I don't even know what that is.
matcha is some, I don't know, some green tea. I'm not quite sure what it is, but
So a chai. What did you say? Dark chocolate.
yeah, dark chocolate. Yeah,
Okay. And is
yeah.
that one of your? I know you also dabble in, or maybe you specialize in, cookies that don't have some of the traditional ingredients. Like, don't you do like egg free or dairy free versions or something like that? Or are you loading your stuff with all the stuff that we love?
Well, it's funny because I've gotten rid of the eggs in my cookies. Um, the egg is about structure. What was happening is I would follow these recipes and put the one or two eggs in it and make them fluffy. So I took the eggs out, and now I have a cookie. So it's not fluffy anymore.
I'm with you. I don't. If cookies are not supposed to be fluffy, they're supposed to be kind of flattish, and I
Yeah,
like crispy on the outside, but with a good chew.
exactly. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what I've done. But I had to eliminate the egg, and that was it.
Well, without
So
giving away your secrets, what do you put in to substitute for the egg to kind of give it that cohesiveness?
it's just butter and sugar, really. But it's
Really?
the amounts that you use. Yeah. I use a little baking soda, and that's it. I don't use
I wouldn't miss
baking
the
powder.
eggs. I wouldn't miss
Baking
the
powder is bad for you. But you want a little bit of rise, but the structure is basically the butter and the sugar that holds it together.
So is this just for you right now, something for fun, or are you gonna maybe I mean, are you putting your stuff out on social media like your inspiration person was doing? I mean, I
You know,
love
I,
watching cooking.
right now it's just kind of a hobby, and I want to get really good, and so I'm really good at this cookie now. Now I need to take this cookie and be able to do an oatmeal cookie, which now I'm working on. I want to make sure I have a good oatmeal cookie, and then I want to make sure I have a good peanut butter cookie. So it's kind
Well,
of making sure that you have these perfect cookies,
well, you
and
know
that's
what?
kind
Set up your camera and just record the whole thing.
of
Even if it come even because I see a lot of people do that. And like, you know what? I didn't like how this one came out a little bit, but it tastes really good. But you know what? Next time I'm gonna try this. And they make a whole you could like go viral with that kind of stuff. I would watch that. I love watching people bake stuff, and I follow this crock pot guy, and he just throws crap in a slow cooker, and he
yeah.
wrote a whole book on it, and he built this empire, and he's like viral and selling like hundreds of thousands of books and stuff. So and then
Oh,
even if you don't do anything with it, then you've got a video, you're a video editor, you can slice and dice and clip and
oh yeah.
put an hour's worth of work into a 2-minute video and just flash 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 flash, put your
Yeah,
little wear your hat, or do something to kind of make you stand out. But I think
yeah.
people would love that.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Right now, I'm just doing it for fun. It's kind of more about stress. I do it early in the morning before anybody's up, and it
Oh.
kind of is just my thing where I'm in the morning and watching the town come awake, and I'm just cooking, cooking
How do
cookies.
you not eat it when I don't even make homemade cookies unless I'm going somewhere to bring them because I'll eat half of them in like 2 days. I mean, how do you not eat them?
I don't understand the question.
Why is that a bad thing?
It's because we eat them, and you know what? Well, here was the big thing. We would, if I didn't make cookies, we would be getting cookies at the store,
Yeah, that's
and every time we did that, our stomachs hurt. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep us in cookies.
Is that supposed to stop you? Is when your stomach hurts, that's supposed to make you stop eating?
Well, eating commercial cookies. I stopped
Yeah.
eating commercial cookies because of that reason. So I started making them. There's another reason. So
So
it's better.
you can eat a lot of them and they won't hurt your stomach. I like it.
I don't. You know what? I have not pushed that limit yet. So I'll let you know when that
I
happens.
love it. Stella says here about your little shops. It's so nice to develop personal relationships with the owners of small shops and cafes too. Yes. And then
Yeah.
she also says people love those kinds of videos. Big cookie emoji. Yes. See, I'm not the only one who thinks so. We're going to be wrapping up pretty quickly here, folks. So if you have any other comments here, please throw them in there. But David, meanwhile, what did we miss? Is there anything that you wanted to talk through, or if not, what do you have coming up that we can talk about? Of course, I'll put all of your information in the comments. But what would you like our listeners to know, or watchers?
You know, I don't. That's an interesting question. What do I want them to know? You know.
Well, of course, there's the collective mastermind that I am a part of that everybody should. I'll do it for you. So, folks, look up the collective mastermind. It's an amazing group of people. You're going to learn. You're going to get information from expertise from other people. It's camaraderie. It's you're playing off each other. What's working for you? What's not? Here's a great idea every week. So that's my plug for David is check out the collective mastermind.
Yeah, if you really want to know, we've got multiple sites. Go to talktoheidi.com, that kind of stuff, and you get to know us there because what you see here is what you see there.
And let me put up your info here too. So here's David's LinkedIn. Again, I'll put this all in the comments, and then also here's the link for the collective, so you can check that out. So, David, thank you so much for being a guest on The Thirsty Professional. I just always love having my ex-corporate club members, and I love people's journeys into entrepreneurship, and because I'm looking at options for my later years, I also love talking about where people live and stuff. So you got the whole shebang, and then also cookies. So thank you. Thanks for being such an awesome guest.
Well, thanks for having me. I loved it.
Yay. All right, folks. Next week, my very special guest is going to be William Bill Wacker. Bill was on my show last year. He is the founder of Safe Harbor Coaching. He's got an extensive background in cybersecurity, cloud, and tech. Yes, he is one of our people. He's a former IBM executive. And he's also got a new role that we're going to find out how that's playing into his world. But he's awesome. We tangented off about anything on our last visit, so it's going to be fun. He's also a survivor of addiction, anxiety, and burnout, and he now shares his struggles. Remember Seamus last week? Same thing. People are using their trauma and they're helping other people with it, which I think is amazing. Helping clients rewire their mind and reclaim their lives. So I can't wait for that one. Thanks to everybody out there for watching or listening. If you're watching on LinkedIn, please connect if you're not already, both with myself and Mr. David Medina. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. It's very much appreciated. If you have any questions or feedback we didn't get to, please leave them in the comments and we'll get to those. And congratulate yourself for getting real about your career, your purpose, and your passion. So now, Miss Hattie Arbuckle, David Medina, and I are going to now bid you a fond farewell. Take it easy.
Fill your cup. Let's have a chat about careers, life, and all of that.
Well, that was fun. All right, time to go make